talk about land acquisition. What we're going to talk about is some of the things people have been throwing around here about transparency and everything else. We have this $1.2 million or billion program coming in that is going to really impact Maston Beach. That's the Fire Islands Montauk Point federal program. And I'm sure everybody's heard about that. The unfortunate thing that has happened was none of the trustees were allowed to attend the meeting where the Army Corps of Engineers discussed the plan with the village. First point in that is nobody knows why they weren't allowed to attend, but they weren't. What happened was the village is the sponsoring agency. And that's key to remember. The Army Corps of Engineers must deal with the sponsoring agency. And as long as we're a village, we control what they do. When that meeting happened, I think it was the 14th of September, the only way we got in there is the fire department, actually Commissioner Biondi, took the initiative, contacted the federal, I guess the congressman or something like that, basically said, hey, you know, we're the fire protection people, we're the emergency service, we should have input into this. And the village was forced to allow the fire department to go to that meeting. In their wisdom, or maybe lack of wisdom, they invited me to attend the same meeting. Okay? What happened in that meeting is we went in, and the plan that no one has been able to see for the past 18 months was all of a sudden there. Okay? So the plan that everybody kept saying, don't worry, it's a done deal, and all this other stuff, nothing you can do about it. We went into the meeting. At the meeting was the county, the DEC, the Coast Guard Resiliency Group, the Army Corps of Engineers, and a bunch of other people. There was really no interaction over what the plan was because nobody knew what the plan was. First question was a map was put up, and the map had this big green thing on it, looked like a great big U. Okay? And someone said, well, what's that? And they said, well, that's a dike. And we all kind of scratched our heads and we said, what do you mean a dike? And they said, it's a dike. That's what the people wanted in Mastic Beach. Don't go there. What people wanted in Mastic Beach was the roads raised to an elevation. Well, people do want roads raised. The structure, don't go there. The structure that they are proposing, or were proposing, that they were told, the Army Corps of Engineers was told we wanted, is 6 foot high. So if you stand on your front lawn and you open your front door, you will see something that's just about where that candelabra thing is over there. Okay? So we immediately said, wait a minute, why are you proposing that? When I say we, people that were there, Bill Still and I, why are you proposing something like that? Well, that's what the people want. No, sorry, that's not what the people want. Okay? And by the way, do you understand that our drainage system is actually discharged into the wetlands and into the waterways, and it's discharged at an elevation that is lower than mean high water. Therefore, once we get a tide, drains don't work anymore. So if you're going to build these big dikes, you're going to be building huge swimming pools that are backfilled through the drainage system. Okay? It took all of about 20 seconds. The guy from the Corps of Engineers said, okay, fine, no dikes. Okay? Now why did he do that? He did it because we are the sponsoring agency. And we now have been giving them some input. We run around all sorts of different problems that everybody's having. They said, well, what do the people of Mastic Beach want? They said, look, it's our waterfront, we want to keep our waterfront. Okay? We want a natural waterfront. We want to be protected from storms. And we want the people of Mastic Beach to be able to use their waterfront. The Army Corps of Engineers says, fine, give us a plan and we'll do it. So this big thing that we've been laboring about, where no one can talk to them, no one knows what's going on, that wasn't the case. They're very receptive to what the people of Mastic Beach want. Okay? There were a number of suggestions made. There's actually going to be a plan put in on the because October 19th, the plan is due to the Army. A couple of days later, you had another Army Corps of Engineer meeting, same people, by the way, that went down to, on the 20th of September, they went down to Patchogue, okay? And at the Patchogue meeting, they started talking about the very same things. They didn't talk about the dikes or anything like that because that's already out of the plan. But what they started talking about is what happens to the land area of Mastic Beach. Right? We're a peninsula that goes out into the water, definition of a peninsula and all that. And they're saying, well, what happens to that whole land area? What is going to be the plan that the Army Corps of Engineers has for it? In our meeting, when they were dealing with us, they said, we will raise your houses. We will buy you out. We will modify houses that are not going to be able to sustain a flood, the elevated electrical stuff and things like that. That's what they said they would do. They get down to Patchogue, and this whole thing of dissolution, I guess, is on everybody's mind, as well it should be. And what happens is, the guy from the town of Brookhaven, who is not, to my knowledge, said one blessed thing about what happens to Mastic Beach if we dissolve. All of a sudden, I'm sorry, you have something?
No, I'm sorry.
All of a sudden, they come up and they say, well, this guy stands up and he says, well, I'd like to read you a letter from the town of Brookhaven, and there's copies in the back, the town of Brookhaven Supervisor Edward P. Romaine. Mr. Romaine does not want any houses in Mastic Beach raised. He does not want anything done in Mastic Beach except for people to accept a buyout. The town of Brookhaven, in writing, copies in the back. They want to see the progression of wetlands from its current area as far inland as the maps show for the year 2050. Okay? That area where it's going to naturally grow back to, okay, is somewhere way north of Ellis. And he's saying here, we don't want houses in that area raised because they become great quote. Wish I could remember. If you raise a house in that area, it will interfere with the growth of the wetlands, number one. Number two, they are against any house in that area being made more habitable. In other words, if it makes it better for people who live there, Brookhaven doesn't want it. Okay? And if we allow people to raise their houses, we're even against raising houses. If we allow people to raise their houses, we are creating, quote, stilt villages surrounded by marshes that have failing septic systems. Thank you, town of Brookhaven. So if you wonder what happens if we no longer become, we no longer are a village, the town of Brookhaven supervisor has already told us what his plan is for our area. They do not consider us to be a community. They do, I'll take it at the end, okay? They do not consider us to be a community. They consider us to be a geographic area, okay? And most people, I guess, have never seen the current plans because for some reason our village hasn't shared these with people. But a picture's worth 1,000 words. I have my pointer. Where's the guy from Point? Did he leave? Karen? I didn't have money for a pointer, so I stole this from one of your.
Really?